In today's video, we're going to look at managing directories. You're probably accustomed to managing folders in a graphical environment, but we need to make sure that you can manipulate them on the command line as well. Anything you can do to a directory with a graphical interface, you can also do through the command line. Let's start with creating directories. The command to create a new directory is mkdir followed by the name of the directory. So if we wanted to create a new directory called dir1, we would type mkdir, dir1. We can also create more than one directory at a time by separating the directory names by spaces. For instance, I can create the directories dir2 and dir4 at the same time by typing mkdir, dir2, dir4. Now if I type ls, you'll see that I have dir1, dir2, and dir4 as directories in my current directory. Now I'm going to rename a directory. To rename directories or files, we use the move command, which is written mv, old name, new name. You can think about moving it from itself to another place. So to rename dir4 to dir3, I will type mv dir4 dir3. So it's mv space dir4 space dir3. Hit enter and show the results. Everything is as we would expect. Up to this point, I've been using relative paths and only working on directories that are in my current working directory. We could do all this with absolute paths as well, or we could use a relative path to a directory that's in a completely different location. One of the advantages of using the command line is that I can act on any spot in my system without changing my working directory. This is part of what makes it possible to do a variety of things with scripting and automation on the command line. For right now, though, I'm going to use relative paths because it involves less typing. If I type ls after I've renamed that directory, I have dir1, dir2, and dir3 here in my home directory. I'm going to make another two directories, but this time I'll create one inside of the other instead of placing them both in the current directory. The command to do this is mkdir space -p, and then I'm going to create a directory called more dirs with a directory called dir4 inside it. The slash indicates that the dir4 directory should be inside the more dirs directory, and the -p tells the command that it should create parent directories. Now if you try to create a nested directory without the -p, you'll get an error message. Now if I list the files in my directory, I've got dir1, dir2, dir3, and more dirs. If I want to see all of the directories in my current location along with their children, I can type ls space -R. This tells the ls command to recursively list all directories and their children. Now we're going to look at moving a directory to another location. We used the mv command to rename something earlier. It can actually be used to move it to a different location as well. I'm going to move the dir3 directory into more dirs by typing mv space dir3 space more dirs. I can verify this worked by repeating the ls-r command I used earlier. Before we look at any more commands, I want to show you how to get help for a command. With the mkdirs command, I told you could use the -p to create parent directories as well. How would you find out how to use the -p parameter in that way if I hadn't just told you? I'm guessing most of you would turn to Google first. There's also a great reference in the appendix of your book that gives a description of the parameters that go with various commands. But there is a source for this information closer at hand. There are help files for most commands built directly into the operating system. The most common of these is the man command, short for manual. To look at the man page for the mkdir command, we type man space mkdir. This gives us a lot of information about the command, including letting us know that the -p option is used to create parent directories. The man pages built into Unix are an incredibly helpful tool, and you must learn to use them if you hope to master the operating system. Press the letter Q on your keyboard to exit a man page. The other major source of help built into the command line is the info command. There are some commands where the info page will be more helpful than the man page, and vice versa. It's good to be familiar with both. Let's go back to working with our directories. We've already learned how to create, rename, and move directories. Let's look at how to delete them. To remove the dir2 directory, I would type rm dir space dir2. If I type ls again, I can verify that directory is gone. That does not move it to a trash bin or a recycle bin. The directory is immediately removed from the system. It completely deletes it. However, if I try to remove the more dirs directory in the same way, I'm going to get an error message that says the directory is not empty. The rmdir command will only work on empty directories. We'll learn the command that will work on non-empty directories when we begin working with files. I'm going to make another copy of the dir2 directory. The last thing we need to look at today is copying directories. I'm going to make a new directory named backup and copy all the directories I've created into that directory. The command for copying directories is cp, though if we want to copy directories we must use the -r parameter. To copy a single directory I can type cp space -r, the name of the directory, and the destination. So cp space -r dir1 backup. I can copy a directory and all of its children using the same command. I can also specify multiple source directories by separating them with spaces, and this can be combined with the -r parameter. So cp space -r dir2 space more dirs space backup will copy both the dir2 directory and the more dirs directory into the backup directory. Let's go ahead and stop there for today. You've learned how to create directories, rename them, move them, copy them, and delete them. More importantly, you should be becoming pretty comfortable with using the command line at this point.